Hi, I'm Kim Brown. Glad you could join me today. And with us
Thank
also today is Tammy Magnuson, a eutaptics practitioner in Wisconsin. Welcome, Tammy.
thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. So, Tammy, I don't know if you have found with your clients, but it seems to me that most of our clients come to us and somehow, some way, the problem stems back to something from childhood. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, as children, or when we're born, we actually experience life, right? Through what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we smell, what we taste. And so we have those feelings and sensations as memories. And typically, as children, we might not be as mature as we would be if we were an adult. So hopefully, hopefully we get more mature, right?
Hopefully.
So it's easy for little minds to not understand the world around them and to associate something or perceive it in a way that doesn't benefit them necessarily. So frequently, uh, adults go and relive pain that they had in their past, and it may not even be necessarily painful if they were adults and they understood it. So does that make sense? Am I making that clear still?
Yes, absolutely. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you've had experiences from childhood. I know I have that when I look back in my adultness, I go, I know exactly why they were laughing. They thought I was the cutest little thing on the planet. And I thought at the time, however, when I was little Kim, oh my God, I'm the weirdest person on the planet.
Right.
Something's wrong with me.
Yes. Yes. Or when we have to do chores, or we have to, take care of siblings, or just these things that happen and we don't understand. To something horrible or traumatic, as well, that children experience. So
So, if children could tap, do you think it could help them to be healthier adults?
absolutely. I know that Robert says this is like your emotional toothbrush, and that's how I look at it. Like, it really just disrupts stressful, negative pathways in your brain, that neuro pathway, and it disrupts that and can give them the option to not go down that stress pathway and to make better choices, to bring their prefrontal cortex, or the front part of their brain, their thinking brain, back online. Kids would understand that. Like, we're going to bring your thinking brain back online, and help them make mature, wise, and better decisions because they're not being influenced by negative chemicals and stresses. So if they could learn that at a young age, like, as things happen, they're able to get more emotional intelligence, become more capable of controlling their emotions and creating uh, a different outcome for themselves, instead of reacting and being triggered into past hurts, or into a body response, even where the heart palpitations, or you're sweating or having panic attacks. Like, instead of letting your body get that involved in a stressful situation, allowing it to relax and think.
How, how would you teach
Yeah,
them?
that's really good. So I would say it's very much like a river. So if they could imagine a river, and like the river goes down this path because it's all kind of carved out for it. And so we can naturally go down a path that our brain is trying to send us down because of what we believe about ourselves, or the way we saw the world. And so tapping would be kind of like putting a log there, or a couple logs, and just diverting the water into something more relaxing and kind and calm.
So you could actually choose where you wanted the water to go.
Yeah.
So you could actually choose the emotion you would prefer
Yeah.
than the stress and anxiety, panic, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I grew up thinking, if an emotion happens, I have no control over it. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
I certainly grew
I'm
up that
mad.
way.
It's your fault. It's somebody else's fault. Like, it has nothing to do with me. I didn't do it. But it does, it has everything to do with us. And I guess there's a really good personal responsibility. And there's also this sense of love and kindness and compassion for themselves to not continue beating themselves up with something someone else said or hurting themselves because someone else hurt them, and giving them that the power, empowering them really to take what happened and say, it's over, I'm not there, I can make better choices.
One thing I loved on your website when you were telling your story is that as a child that you felt like you had to please everyone. Now that is a recipe for anxiety, isn't it?
Yes. You've got that right. Very much so. So it's always looking to the external to uh, be approved of, right? To be good enough. And it's easy to train kids that, or for kids to absorb that in and be like, we have to make grandma happy or grandpa or the teacher or the other kids. And like, our job is to make sure that everyone else is happy. And so that programming just grows up with you, and then you're an adult and you're wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy? Why
Right.
can't I be like, why can't I control my own emotions? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Tammy, you have children
Yes.
and you're around your children. And
Yes.
I imagine they've seen you tap. Have they picked up on it?
Yes. So I talk about it a lot. Like, I'm really interested in it. I look at it from logical, scientifical, like all of these educational. It's just very interesting to me. So if they see me tap, they're like, now what? What are you tapping about? But it's really, I mean, it's like, it should be like I'm brushing my teeth. Like, really, I noticed something. I know it has to do with something inside of me that I believe. I know that I'm able to change it, and come away thinking better and feeling better and reacting better.
So do you think they've seen a change in your life? Your children?
I definitely do. I would be interested to ask them. I have asked a few. Uh, so I mean, I don't know how they couldn't, right? There's a big, um, there's a big difference. I mean, three of my kids are with my ex-husband, their dad, and it used to be everything was his fault. And I complained about him a lot and stuff. And I know that they've commented on that. They'll come home and maybe say something about him, and I'll actually almost take his perspective for them, instead of, yeah, he is terrible, or those first feelings that I used to have. And it's not even that I tried that, which is really cool. That's cool when that happens, when you've changed enough of the negative programs and beliefs that you automatically respond differently. And sometimes I don't. I mean, sometimes I'm like, yeah, but typically now it is much more of a kind, understanding response to
And
even
I'm
something.
sure that's healing for the whole family, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm.
I think so.
So, well, Tammy, there is a specialty that you are interested in that I saw on your website that I'd like for you just to talk a little bit about here. Now, we know that problems all come from the same place.
Right.
So you really don't have to have a specialty. You work in all types of areas, but there's something that's near and dear to your heart. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So, yes, you're right. So all problems come from our own head, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And our own experiences and how we perceived them. And what's exciting, I think one of the most exciting things I learned was when I realized, or I was told, and it made sense to me, like everything going on in my own head is me. So if my dad was mean or my ex-husband was mean, like, and I'm replaying that, now I'm doing that to myself. So, I love working with anybody, but my heart is close to horses. And so I was thinking about how stressed, like my daughter has, especially my one daughter, my oldest daughter, she rode, and did quite a bit of competing. And I see people having kind of the same results or getting really super stressed when it's showtime. Like they can ride so great and they work so hard and put all this time and effort in, and then they get there and either their horse acts up or they act up. And the good thing about horse riders is they tend to blame themselves. They're like, well, the horse felt my stress. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. Usually we want to blame someone else for our stress, for the problem, right? But most horse riders will be like, they could tell I was nervous and so they acted up. So that's the truth. I mean, when we act nervous, it affects everything around us and how other people or animals react to us too. So it's dear to my heart to work with people that have had a fearful situation, that have had past experiences that make them afraid, but yet they want that bond and that love with their horse, or they're competitive and they're just maxing out every time at that same level. And what is it that's stopping them from, getting the results that they're working so hard at? And so that would be really rewarding for me to see those interactions change. And I've had it with my own horse. So you asked if my family saw it, and I'm thinking, well, I hope so, but I can guarantee you my horse has seen it.
Now,
Very obviously. So this is a horse who, anytime we turned towards home, she had had a lot of gaming, and she was ran. Games are like barrels and poles and stuff. So she had this mentality that when you get on it, once you start running, then you don't, like, you go and go and you just, I don't know, she'd go till she fell over. But so then on a trail ride, she'd be pretty good. She'd look and be a little antsy, but then on the way home, she'd really start getting antsy. And sometimes I'd have to get off or have to just keep turning and turning and try to get her attention. Couldn't get it. And I literally didn't do that much training with her, didn't even ride her that often because it was sometimes difficult and unsafe to walk her back and just get off and walk her. Well, the last 2 times I rode her, she even saw the trailer. She knows that's the way home. We've done this path before, and she walked, even had her head down, and other horses went ahead of her, and she still stayed with me in her mind. And that was really powerful.
Awesome.
It is. And the only thing I contributed to is I act differently. Like I must have changed, which is wonderful.
The many far-reaching benefits of tapping, huh?
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Tammy, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate the offer. I always love watching you and your experiences, so I'm very honored.
Thank you very much. And if you would like a session with Tammy, I'll have her information at the end of this video. Be sure to get in touch with her and go to her website. I'll have all that information at the end as well. Remember, no matter what you've experienced in the past, no matter how long ago it was, today is a new day. See you next time.